Oh, I'm just getting everything out ready, Dirk. You're good. All right, good evening, everybody. Hey, real quick.
Mr. Belanti, if you give just a second,
Sure.
trying to get the live stream going. Okay, thank you.
Okay, just wanted to let everybody know we called the meeting to order at 6:05. Said the pledge of allegiance, took roll call, and then adjourned into executive session at 6:07. We adjourned executive session at 6:45 where no action was taken. And so next order of business is the approval of the agenda. May I have a motion and second to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carries. Minutes of previous meeting. May I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes. Communications, I know last week we talked about the Harris Beach legal alert. Does anyone have any communications to share other than the Harris Beach?
There's another notice in there from Harris Beach. Not quite sure if they were just talking about no pizza in the lunchroom or something, but it was kind of strange. Did you read that?
I glanced over it. I didn't have a chance to completely dive into it.
Harris Beach comes to us, it's not one of our main attorneys, correct?
It's not any of our, we don't do any business with them.
Okay, did we do something with them at one time? Is that
Yes,
why
in the
we-
past we have.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. That's all I had.
Okay, no other communications, then unfinished business, we have none. So the superintendent's report, Dr.
All right.
Genestri.
Thank you, Mr. Belanti. Yeah. Okay, we have a few up. Maybe. I'm frozen. Try this again. There we go. All right, so tonight's topics, we're gonna offer the board an enrollment update. Mr. Feldman's gonna talk about our reserve and fund balance update. And capital project building, no really updates, but we again want to just make sure that we're announcing the date for our upcoming vote. And then we are in the middle of homecoming week. So I just want to announce to our community what events will be happening throughout the week. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Dr. Wilson to come on up and give us an update on enrollment that we've been seeing through September 12th.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to dig right into our enrollment, and we're jumping in first with our elementary enrollment. So as you see here, we have the snapshot as of the 12th. These are all of our elementary schools. When you look at our state and public-facing data, you usually will see K-5 data points. UPK is a very big pride point for us, so we want to make sure we always pull those numbers in, and you see our UPK numbers there also. This year, an extension of our UPK program, we extended the integrated co-teach model at Glendale and Willow Ridge. So there's one section at each one of those schools in which we are supporting students with disabilities in district at UPK. The things I want to point out here is you see we're at 189 at UPK, but then you see all the numbers going through each grade level. In a minute, we're going to talk about sections, class size, and we'll dig into that a little bit more deeply with the elementary. The thing that I would like to point out is that we're going to hit capacity at 198, so we're right there. And we have really pulled in everyone but we don't really have a wait list. We have students and families that are maybe in one zone or another, but for the most part, we are servicing all the students who apply for our UPK program. Next slide. Here's that class enrollment data. Here, the thing I'd like to point out here is you see every school broken down. Maple-Mere, remember their UPK program sits over at St. Leo's. So, but most of the students that are over at St. Leo's move on to Maple-Mere. The thing I'd like to point out that might cause you to think about the numbers on the last page differently, and you see a slight difference is, for example, if you look at Glendale, it's 3 sections, 3 classes at UPK, and saying 18 students per section. Really, when you look at the numbers for Glendale, it's 52 students there sitting in their UPK program. And when you do the math on that, it's 17.333, but you can't have a 0.333 student, right? So that's why the numbers look slightly different here. But as you look across, you see where our sections are. We have a goal of looking at about 18 at UPK. It must be 18 K in 1, and then at 2 through 5, we try to stick closer to the 22. It's a guide. It's not a hard number, but it is a guide. Whenever you see numbers go bigger, we look at adding shared aides and other support staff to make sure that we are accommodating all students. You also see the exceptional classes that are housed at Glendale, Maple-Mere, and Willow Ridge. They are spread across grade levels because those are multi-grade level classes. Next slide. Here's enrollment where we pull in middle school and high school. So the thing I want to point out here is that our elementary numbers do include our UPK numbers. Remember, that's a little bit different when you look at our public facing data. And you talk about a net gain, right? So students leaving us over the summer or throughout the year, last year, and then students coming in. And so from 2023-24 and then 24-25, those are bed stay data points. That's about the October time in which that snapshot is taken. We haven't hit October yet for 25-26, so that's the number as of the 12th. That number is constantly changing. It's different even today. So we are constantly growing, constantly changing. You see a net difference between 24-25 and 25-26 of negative 19. But overall, it's the number of students that are coming in, and we'll see a little bit more about that in the next slide. You can go on to the next slide. So here we have students with disabilities in our special education program. And you have to count, again, the first 2 years are driven by our bed stay numbers, but they also include UPK. So that's a difference in what you'll see on our public facing dashboards. When you look at 25-26, you see we have a net of positive 21. So there are 21 more students. That doesn't mean that there's only 21 students that change. That means that's the net difference, number of students coming in, number of students leaving. The number of 13% looks constant, but you see the number is different. It's based on different years enrollment. So when you look at the enrollment numbers from the year before, you see why it balances out to be 13% in the last couple of years, but was hovering around 12%, 23-24. And that is a quick overview of some high-level data in our enrollment. And I'll take any questions.
I just want to say, when we looked at our numbers for elementary, we kind of have an unwritten commitment for those K1 and 2, because those are the real formative years, that we're still going to keep our levels kind of low so that there's, more individual attention. So from the numbers you're showing, we are keeping that commitment.
Yes, and we are looking at whenever, like I was having a conversation with Heritage Heights today about shared aides and where they are located. The kindergarten there across the board has that kind of support already in place.
So going from elementary to middle school, are we losing kids? You can't really tell from, for example, the 25-26 number is 1834 in elementary.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the number of students that are in 5th grade that will go to the middle school for next year? Are we losing children to somewhere else, or are they rolling over?
Well, they roll over to middle school for 6th grade, but I can get you the exact number of students by grade level. We don't have it broken down by grade level for.
So just generally, are they about the same? So the graduating grade 5 is showing up in middle school the following year for grade 6?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
I just wonder, have you done a deep dive into how many of our kids are being homeschooled? How many of our kids, because this doesn't represent our charter kids,
No.
our, homeschooled, whatever. And those that go to, some of the Catholic schools or private schools. Have you started looking into those and
We
getting
definitely,
numbers?
we can get you those numbers if
Right.
you're interested in seeing them, but we definitely have access to that.
And we'll have more after that October 5th date
Right,
when Beds
right.
Day happens. But we wanted to just kind of set the table that, our enrollment is holding steady. We did lose our asylum seekers this year. So that was 53 kids. So that's one piece of that too. But we'll have more on enrollment as the beds data comes in.
When you said we lost our asylum seekers, what does that mean?
That means they moved out of Sweet Home and went to other school districts.
Yes. We even tracked the location they landed in.
No, in the middle of last school year, but it was after Beds Day. So that so the enrollment numbers that you saw included them from 24, 25 included them in that. Yeah,
Is that most of the loss between the 2 years? That what?
I think that would be, yeah. That's right around.
Okay,
Are the students that are in outplacements, are they included anywhere in this data?
So our total enrollment, that would include, so our out-of-district students would be counted.
I'm sure people watching at home keep hearing us say about beds. Can you just explain, since that is
Yep.
just so people know?
It's a data snapshot for us. It typically happens in October. That's when teachers experience it and schools experience it. The actual data upload happens between October and December. And basically, it's a full snapshot of our district in which we have to count up everything. I don't know, Dr. Genestri, if you want to add any more to that?
Nope, that's usually the Tuesday in the first week of October that we do that snapshot, and that's the number that carries for the year
For our aid.
for our aid purposes, and that'll be the public facing. So like the New York State report card number, that's the snapshot that's that number that you see on October. I don't want to say 5th this year, but
Yes.
yeah.
is it the number of students enrolled? What exactly are they measuring? What's the?
They ask for every data point that we can give them. So they want total enrollment. They want to know how many students are out of district, how many students are students with disabilities, how many students are English language learners. So from every angle, every single data point that we can give them on our students is what
About the
they collect on
student's
Beds Day.
body, right? About the student body.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, they also collect information about our teachers and their number of years of experience.
Okay.
It's a huge snapshot of the district. They work to collect every data point they can to tell them about our district.
Thank you.
So in beds, I mean, I think to your point, it's basic education data system. I think that's a New York State
Mhm.
database, right? That we
Yes,
have to
New York
report to.
State,
So when we say the beds numbers, those are the numbers we're reporting
Mhm.
into this database for New York. And that's public data. right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
State report card, like you can look up. your
It's driven
district,
by
you can
Beds data.
slice it by year,
Yep.
you can look at
Mhm.
school buildings, like it's all on the website for the public. to-
When you click that enrollment tab in the report card, those numbers that you see there will be from that October 5th date.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Feldman is here to report tonight on our reserve and fund balance update.
Good evening, everybody. I've just, again, I know I said it, I don't know if it was last week or in August, but the district has engaged in a new audit vendor for us this year. Typically, we do this in August, but we went through kind of some relationship pieces with the new auditor. So I do apologize for the delay, but we'll be back in it in August next year. But this is something that we've done traditionally in August, and we'll continue to do that going forward. Just with the new auditor, we were a little delayed. So Dr. Genestri, if you'd hit the next slide. So the unassigned fund balance, this is something that the board, following our last New York State Office of State Controller's audit, They did suggest that you as a board, approve the fund balance, unassigned fund balance every year. For lack of a better term, this unassigned fund balance is really our rainy day fund. It's something that we're allowed to carry up to 4% of our current year budget in an unassigned fund balance to use in the event of emergencies and things along those lines. So I gave you here a couple of snapshots. The 24-25, our 24-25 approved budget was $100,410,422. The 4% maximum allowed value of the unassigned fund balance for last year was $4,016,417. We recommended, you approved a 24-25 fund balance of $2.962 million or 2.95%. And then in that second chunk there, what I did was try and give you a sense as to, why and what the reasons are for you're not getting to that 4%, but moreover, really just to look at some of the struggles that we've had over the last couple of years in budgeting with the budget after the budget has been passed. So in the 24-25 school year, when the budget was passed in May of 2024, obviously we had a budget of $100,410,422. In that time, since the time that budget was passed through the time that we closed the budgetary year last year, we did see over $1.2 million in increased special education tuitions resulting directly from student transfers and out-of-district placements. Our special education numbers, again, we increased the budget in the 24-25 school year by almost $1 million. You see that that the actual expenses were about $2.2 million. So we were about $1.2 million behind. And that is in, what we do in the process of setting the budget, we do meet with the department heads. We know what's coming. These were expenses that we had no idea, and people coming into the district that we had no idea that were coming from that standpoint. We'll talk about special education a little bit later, but I just wanted to give you a sense from that standpoint. Additionally, with the new folks and with the dearth of our bus drivers, we did see $600,000 in additional contracted transportation costs directly related to some of our new special education students and runs, but moreover, our McKinney-Vento students that are classified as McKinney-Vento. Those are students that are classified as homeless, that regardless of where they live, if they are attached to the Sweet Home Central School District and are within 20 miles, we do need to transport them every day. So some of those contracted transportation costs are directly attributed to those students. We did work very hard this past year to work with Erie County. If Erie County places the student in a McKinney-Vento situation, they are essentially responsible for the transportation costs. We worked very hard and we recouped about $500,000 in contracted transportation costs. Those $600,000 are over and above that. So our contracted transportation costs, because of the new students, were extremely high. And again, that's after increasing in a budget of about $500,000. We increased that a $500,000. And then for 25-26, as you all know, our approved budget is $105,576,012. 4% of the budget is $4,223,040, which is the highest level allowable by our unassigned fund balance. I am here tonight to make a recommendation to you for the 25-26 unassigned fund balance to be at a level of $3.167 million, $3,167,280, which is 3% of our annual budget going forward. And that is utilizing some of the reserves, which is what you'll see kind of on our next page. So this is our reserve activity. We do have, as you see across the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different reserves that we have available to us. Some we are allowed to use more freely. Others we are, we do need not only your approval, but voter approval from that standpoint. You'll see on the very bottom that our 25-26 reserve and fund balances totals, our reserve funds, the 7 totals up there are $6.5 million. Our unassigned fund balance is recommended to you tonight is $3.167 million. And our assigned fund balance is the revenue that we carry forward every year of $2.42 million. So in total, all of our reserve and fund balances do total to $12,126,661. This is, obviously, you'll see in the last column that we did use over $2 million in reserves last year. Some of it was budgeted. Others of it were to help us to get to that 3% in the unassigned fund balance because it allows us, I believe, in an unassigned fund balance to give us a little bit more flexibility from that standpoint.
Mr. Feldman?
Yes.
I see the tax surcharge, we got rid of almost 90+% of it.
Yes.
Is there something in particular that really clobbered that, or do we need to expect that?
Well, honestly, Mr. Johnson, a lot of that is, some of that is actual tax certiorari. Others of it is to help us to get to the 3% in the unassigned fund balance from that standpoint. We had most flexibility in the tax certiorari. We can talk about, obviously, as a board, we can shift monies out and in and out of reserves from that standpoint. But for the flexibility of a 3% unassigned fund balance, we used, in talking with Dr. Genestri, we did use the reserves in that area to help us kind of get to 3%.
Are we still successful at getting most people not to go backwards in time, just?
100%. We do use, we have a number of, again, and you all have been through it with the reassessment in the town of Amherst. We had a number of challenges. We do partner with our tax attorney, Hodgson Russ, to be able to work through that. I'm sorry, it's not Hodgson Russ, it's Grohl Schumann. I apologize for that. But our attorney does go on our behalf to the district and work with the town. And I would say 98% of his cases come back with no refunds from that standpoint. That's why we felt as though that we could use that from that standpoint. We used about $160,000 of it in refunds. The rest of it is to help us to get to that 3%.
Thank you.
So I understand that. I thought you said that you add or subtract from that particular column to help you with the reserves, the unassigned
So the use of the reserves, that 1, 2, 3rd row down, the use of reserves, you'll see what we used in reserves. Some of that, again, was budgeted and accounted for as we used them as revenues to close budgetary gaps. The remainder of it that we used in those reserves is to help us to get to the 3% in the unassigned fund balance. That's my recommendation tonight because I believe that the unassigned fund balance does give us the most flexibility going forward.
Got it. The ERS, TRS, is TRS relatively new? Are you allowed to, I didn't know you were allowed to reserve for that.
It was a retirement system reserve. Scott, you might know this more than I. It was probably about maybe a half dozen years or so ago that they allowed us to split into
Even less,
ERS.
but yeah, it wasn't that long.
Okay, it was into ERS and TRS. So TRS, to your point, Mr. Ravenel, is relatively new, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
I think that's a good thing.
I would agree. I
That
would
is-
agree.
Okay.
We
That's
had
a
to keep
figure.
it under the ERS fund, right? We weren't
Correct.
allowed to create it as a separate.
Correct.
Okay.
So in the end, like I say, with all of our reserve balances and our fund balances, we do have a total of a little over $12 million. If you would hit the next slide, please, Dr. Genestri. So as I mentioned, some of the things that we've seen over the last couple of years, it has been a very challenging last couple of years in terms of the budget relative to special education and contracted transportation, special education in particular from that standpoint. We've seen special education tuitions out of district continue to soar. Just this year, I mentioned to you what happened in 24-25. Since the 25-26 budget was passed in May of 25 until we started school this year, we did see 24 new children come into our district. We do not have space for those kids, those high need kids. And we've had to place them out of district at a cost of about $1.6 million. So when we build the budget, we try and build a budget that is fiscally responsible to our community. We have utilized in the past, we have utilized reserves to offset budgetary gaps. We have not gone to the tax cap in the last several years from that standpoint. So the $12 million, we're in good shape. We just can't continue to support the growing special education population and struggles financially in the manner that we are now. So there's a couple of things that are in factor there. Obviously, you all know that Erie One BOCES is building its new special education center that's due to open in, I think, to take students in probably February or March of 2027. So that will say again.
It'll be September.
It'll be September, okay. What we were told at the business officials, it would have been February, but you guys would know more from that standpoint. So that can certainly help us. I would assume that we would realize some cost savings from that standpoint, going forward. We've worked very hard. Scott Kennedy and his team has worked very hard to continue to bring contracted transportation back in-house. We have worked to get all of our McKinney-Vento transportation kids back in-house, but 2. We've not been able to do 2 of them. So that should be a significant savings for the district going forward, something that obviously that we're very, very proud of. And Scott and his team have done a great job, not only with the changing times, but with helping us to be able to do more for our kids in the end. So going forward and building budgets, just things to think about. We do have to start to be a little bit more mindful about the tax cap and the impacts there. We were relegated to a 0.4% tax cap increase this past year, which didn't help us, certainly. But we will, we expect that number will grow now because of the debt is now fully on and the impact of the capital project is there. So I would continue to be a proponent of looking at that a little bit more closely going forward. One of the things that I do believe that we need to do is really begin, and we've done a better job, is to eliminate the use of reserves to close budgetary gaps. For these reasons, if we continue to see the continued growth in special education and the impact financially that it has against us, the only place for us to turn is either the unassigned fund balances or the reserves to help us. And you see the last couple of years that we've used over $2 million in our reserves to combat some of those growing costs. So obviously, if we're using the reserves to close budgetary gaps to help us get to a balanced budget, that money is not available to us to use, right? Because we have to use that to close the budget and the budgetary gaps. So my recommendation to us going forward, we can certainly talk more about this as we get into building the budget in December and January, but I'm going to look to build a budget where we don't use reserves and rely on reserves from that standpoint. We'll continue to monitor expenses and spending. We did last year in January, because of the growing expenses, we tamped down on discretionary spending and made sure that, we went through the process of vetting everything out. And that certainly did help us get to a better place than where we were, from that standpoint. And the last thing that I would say, actually 2 last things that I would say, I would strongly consider, and we've not looked at the impact on it yet, but in our budget, we do have the bus purchase. So we do a bus purchase inside of the general fund. And we spent, with all of the grant money and things along those lines, we spent on buses about $1 million between the 3 electric buses that we had and the 3 diesel buses that we did purchase. So if we were to pull that out of the general fund budget, That's $1 million that we free up. We would go out to bond and we would do it much like a capital project kind of vote as an extra referendum to give us, I don't know if we'll need it, honestly, but it gives us, again, a little bit more flexibility to kind of combat the growing costs in other areas. So we would pull that out and then we would just be responsible for the debt service from that standpoint. I have not done the calculation. I've not gotten to that point yet as to how that might impact our overall tax cap, because the bus purchase is a tax cap exemption. But if we're not taking the full price, I don't know what exactly the impact on our tax cap would be, but it would certainly allow us some flexibility in the overall budget.
Feldman,
Yes, sir.
I know in the component districts around here, they go different ways. Some do that way, some do it the way we're doing it now.
Mhm.
Not now, but when because we approach the budget, I'd be curious how that works out for each one of them, what their voting is going to be looking
Yeah,
like.
it's interesting, kind of going forward, Mr. Johnson. The mandate that's coming down with the electric buses from New York State, and that all of our fleet has to be turned over by 2035. As you know, we've been very successful in getting funding for that. I don't know. I don't know how the public would look upon that from that standpoint and putting that out as opposed to kind of putting it in with the budget. So, the support from communities across Western New York has been very strong, as you know, in terms of the budgets. We've been very fortunate here in Sweet Home to have the support. I just don't know. I don't know what to say in terms of, I don't know what the feeling is for our public about, doing it a different way.
I know the more rural districts are struggling with it more.
Mhm.
That's, but if there aren't as many rural districts around here that we would compare with anyways.
Yeah. So what we'll do is when we get into the budgetary season and start to study that, we'll provide you different scenarios, because I think it can provide us some flexibility in the overall budget going forward from that standpoint.
I guess the other question is, will it affect how we can borrow for our capital projects too? I don't need an answer tonight on that.
I don't believe so, but it's a good question, and I would have to get some information on that as well.
Thanks.
And then, sorry, Mr. Elmo, go ahead.
So again, just to understand it, you want to put out as a separate proposal on the budget vote for specifically buses.
Yeah, I don't know if I necessarily want to do that. I'd want us to consider doing that. So what I would say is, because right now we have a little bit over $1 million in the general fund budget. So that million for the buses, net of all the grants that we received from that standpoint. So that $1 million is lumped into that $105 million. So if that were to be taken out of the general fund budget, we have that $1 million to help us look at different ways to maybe fund special education, to look at different ways to do other things. I think it gives us more opportunity, but in doing so, that would be pulled out, and the public would vote then on the general fund budget, the overall budget, and then the proposition to purchase how many ever buses we wanted to do.
So
We used to do that. I remember back probably at least 10 years ago.
Yeah, it was before, I was here, yes, but it was before I was in this seat.
I think it was before your predecessor even.
Correct, yes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so that's the risk. The public gets to
It is a risk,
do with buses, what kind of buses we're going to
correct.
purchase, and whether the political climate is changed at all in Albany.
Correct.
And
We'll have a little bit of an update kind of going forward on the mandate. There are opportunities to do extensions, but that as we get closer to 2035, that'll be something that we'll have to talk about going forward. But from that standpoint, and then the last piece that I do want to talk a little bit about is on the revenue side. I've been talking with other districts. I've been talking with a company. It's called 3+1. They are a company that works with school districts to do a comprehensive study on the revenue side of the budget. They look at specifically your banking relationships. They look specifically at your investment strategies. They look specifically at ways to increase interest revenue for you. If you remember correctly, last year, what we did is we brought to you in July, we brought a new depository. It was NILAF, now NICLAS. It's a high yield savings account, one of the things that we've taken advantage of. But essentially, this company comes in, takes a look at kind of all of our revenues and investments and offers suggestions as to how to potentially increase interest income. They do charge a fee. It's essentially it's $250 per $1 million in your budget. So we'd be at about $26,000. But what they do is they guarantee in that first year to save you more than their fee. And if they don't save you more than their fee, then their service is free of charge. So I can share a little bit more information with you. I think that it's something that a lot of other districts are using to help kind of look at their investments and to try and increase interest income. We've done a great job in moving monies around to this point and opening up the high yield savings and things along those lines. But particularly with ultimately, if our capital project does pass in December, investment strategies from that standpoint, because our cash flow will be better. Yes, sir, Mr. Ravenel.
I know those people, I'll just say it that way.
Okay.
3+1. And actually, many years ago with Jim Sheehan, under a different name, Uniflow or something like that, they were helping with managing your cash flow. And that's what they do. They've been doing that for a long time. Used to be a principal by the name of Joe Rulison, very smart man. And I think they could add some value.
I would wholeheartedly agree, and we're going to delve into it a little bit more and hopefully get started with them shortly, because I think that they would be a strong advocate for the district.
Okay, thank you.
So there's a lot here. I guess I would open it to questions if you haven't asked questions already, but there are some things that you see on this slide that we'll have to consider as we start to build the budget for the coming year. And I know that Dr. Genestri has kind of talked to us offline a little bit about special education and things along those lines. So I don't know if anybody else has any other questions at this point. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Feldman.
Thank you.
Just a couple, just a reminder that we have formally announced that our capital project vote will be on December 16th, 2025 here in Virgil's Center. So it's a Tuesday evening. There will be two propositions for our taxpayers to vote on. Proposition A for 55.2 million is a tax neutral proposition, meaning that it includes, the additions at Maplemere, Glendale, and Heritage. BCS, building condition survey, like maintenance items that are at end of life, a new roof at the middle school, upgraded playgrounds and parking lots, elementary library upgrades, moving the Ready Academy to district office and district office to Dexter Terrace, and electrical upgrades at our transportation center. Proposition B, our voters will have the opportunity to choose on a $35.3 million project. That would come with a tax increase of about $64 per 250,000 assessed, or 2.61 tax percent increase. It would address items that are wish list items through our thought exchange, and items that are needed. I shouldn't say wish list, but through the thought exchange that our community identified and through subsequent focus groups. This would include renovations to our elementary buildings to update them, which they have not been updated since basically construction. Hallways, gyms, classrooms would get updated. It would also include turf replacement at the high school, and then turfing baseball and softball, because right now we can only play one contest at a time on our turf. Lights on the baseball and softball fields, and a new track at the high school and in Heritage Heights. So we have started scheduling PTO, PTA trips. We are going to do the rounds, I think, starting first week or second week in October. So we're excited to get out there. We have a meeting tomorrow to discuss our materials that we'll be bringing with us, so our taxpayers understand what they would be voting on, and really kind of say beat the street, to get out there and get the word out there on this capital project, which really will be transformative for Sweet Home, and really excited about the prospects of what will be, especially at our elementary buildings, and the upgrades that are needed.
Can I ask a question quickly?
Yes.
How old are our buildings?
So Heritage, I think, was in the late 60s. I think Maplemere and Glen, I'll get the exact dates, so I'm just estimating. I thought I saw
They're
Maplemere in
early
the 50s.
sixties, late 70s, or early Heritage, Willow Ridge and Maplemere are early sixties.
Yep.
Or Maplemere and Glendale, I don't know. This is early sixties.
Yep.
But Heritage Heights is late sixties, might be early seventies.
Yeah.
71, I
So
think.
we've not had a renovation, you said, since built.
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, we've had
Carpeting.
like, I mean,
But yeah.
you know, HVAC work, windows, security
Points of the
upgrades,
bricks.
things like that. But from a classroom
Renovation?
overall renovation, no.
No. And I will say, to kind of piggyback off of what Mr. Feldman said, they're really well maintained. So we do watch those BCS items, so we don't fall behind on those maintenance issues. But as far as updating,
And Ms. Anthon, again, this goes back to kind of what we talked about before relative to special education, right? Like with our enrollment, and you saw it in Dr. Wilson's presentation, you know, over the last 3 years, our enrollment has grown by almost 400 kids from that standpoint. And it's space. Like that's the one thing that we've heard over and over again from elementary principals, parents, about space. You know, if you walk into an elementary library, we're likely doing OT, PT, speech, ELL, and academic intervention, all in that space, and library. You know, from that standpoint,
It's
so.
noisy. So like,
Yeah.
when we
Yeah.
talk about
Yeah.
Heritage Heights, if you picture like office cubicles, they're kind of
Sure.
like office cubicles. And so teachers are working with kids in those spaces, and the cafeteria is on the other side of that cubicle. That's like the same height as a person is.
Yes.
So I think when we talk about renovations to schools, I think we need to really be specific and explain to folks what exactly that looks like.
Yeah.
And what the need is there.
We'll be ready to go.
100%. I mean, and to your point too, Maplemere, Glendale, Willow Ridge, all those libraries have been cut up into separate spaces.
So, and it
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah, it's,
Ugh.
We tapped every inch that we possibly can
yeah.
for services there. And then, like I said, we're starting, tomorrow, we're wrapping things up on key messaging and the materials that we'll be using. And then, like I said, we've got the schedule out. As soon as we finalize that schedule, we're going to publish it, and we're going to make phone calls to families as well, to try and get great attendance at our buildings, but also the 2 town halls we have planned as well. And we'll get that list out to our families in the next week or so of events. And then we are in the middle of homecoming week right now. And so I sent this out to families as well. Tomorrow night, the events really kick off with our Powder Puff football game at 6 o'clock here at the high school. Always a well-attended and very highly competitive event. So we're looking forward to that. Looks like beautiful weather once again. At 11:30 a.m., our Athletics Hall of Fame will take place, and I got the list of our inductees this year. Congratulations to Lauren Kornitsky, Robbie Jurgens, Connor Bodette, and Andrew Geitz, who will be inducted at 11:30 a.m. in the auditorium onto our Athletics Wall of Fame. From noon to 2 will be Community Day. We have food trucks, bounce house, inflatable optical courses, games, snow cones for the family, rain or shine that will take place. Of course, at 2 o'clock is the football game, kickoff versus Frontier, and tickets are right now available for the homecoming dance for our high schoolers at 7 p.m. in the high school gym on Saturday evening. So dress up days have been going. If you were in the high school today, it was Minions Day. It was very teachers and students dressing up as Minions. It was great to see, and I think everybody's getting into spirit. We will have the pep rally, of course, on Friday as well. I think around 12 or 1, but I'll get.
Yeah, short periods of some sort. I'm not sure the schedule's been done
Yeah.
yet.
Yep. So. And that's what I have for this week. Any questions? All right, thank you, everybody.
Okay, I think that, you have the board goals to review on your.
I don't actually.
Want to put something up, Mike?
The board goals.
Okay, sorry, give me just a second.
Thank you, Dr. Janestri.
Yeah.
Okay, so annually, every year, this is actually a little bit early. We usually do this in October. We discuss our Board of Education goals, and I believe we'll probably have a discussion and then table to vote on in October. So we did have an annual retreat, August 12th, 2025. We, as the board, engaged in a collaborative discussion regarding its goals and major initiatives for the upcoming school year. The goals identified include advocating for and continuing the implementation of the district's strategic plan, providing opportunities for all students, securing community support for the next major capital project, promoting open and honest communication, and developing a financial plan that benefits all stakeholders. So goal number one, the Board of Education will continue to lead in the promotion, advocacy, and implementation of the year 3 of the Sweet Home Strategic Plan. The board will work with administration, faculty, and staff to ensure that the Sweet Home portrait of a graduate remains the central focus of the plan. The board will collaborate with district office and building administration to ensure the key benchmarks in academics and social emotional development are being met, and regular updates will be requested at the Board of Education meetings to monitor progress and assess outcomes.
Are we doing one at a time and discussing one at a time or?
I think that's probably the easiest thing to do. So the rationale for this is that the strategic plan was approved by the board in June of 2023. The board emphasizes that the plan must not sit on a shelf. Instead, benchmarks outlined in the plan must be achieved, and the district adopting the 21st century student-centered learning approach that benefits all students. Are there any comments, questions, concerns about goal number one?
I have a backtrack kind of question
Okay.
I should have asked at the beginning. I'm really sorry.
No, it's okay.
So I think last year is my first year on the board. Being new, there was a lot that I just didn't know. Like, you don't know what you don't know, and then you kind of learn it as you go and everyone. They are board goals, meaning that they are for the 7 of us to do, or these are district goals, meaning that the district is going to do things and we are going to act to support them.
You're the senior, Mr. Johnson.
Because it's
I will-
not goals.
They are our goals, but we
So for the
as the
7 of
7 of
us,
us as
we're
a group,
doing.
yes.
Okay,
These are, we're not physically doing the work. These are the goals that we are guiding our district to go and accomplish.
okay. So technically then the board, the goal as it's written then is for district to do and we support.
Yes.
Okay, so
Maybe we
that's helpful
delegate
information.
Dr.
Right.
Janestri and then Dr. Janestri.
And then we
do
update
our-
mid-year or however the board, at the board's request, will update you and fill in the mid-year notes or quarterly notes, or however you want.
Okay.
To make sure we're reaching the benchmarks.
I've always viewed these as our goals
Yeah,
Yes,
for the district.
Right.
yes.
Yes.
Dr.
We-
Janestri will have his own goals.
right, right.
For
yeah,
very specific
exactly.
things, but he's still tasked with putting ours out, but we have to be there to support him in whatever it needs to make those goals work.
So out of curiosity, this is a wrench that I'm throwing at you, ready? The way that we write the goals, and I know I should have mentioned this before, and I know that we've had conversations about this, but the format that we write these in are not SMART goals, right? So they're things that we encourage to be in practice in the district, but we don't do that for our goals. Why? Just out of
Say
curiosity,
that.
Actually, they
again?
were supposed to be.
written
SMART
as
goals.
SMART goals.
Yes,
They are.
yes.
Are you
We
We haven't
positive?
done it that way in
We
a long
haven't done
time.
it that way in a few years, but
Right?
traditionally, a few years ago, yeah, we did them as, because we talked about our
We
SMART
have, but I
goals.
bet you it's been 7 or 8 years.
I've
since
never
we've done
done
it that way. Yeah,
SMART goals.
it's been quite a few years.
What's the difference if you don't mind indulging me in that? These
Well, I
written
think-
in a way that guiding goals for the district, is that what they're supposed to be? And what's the difference between that and the SMART goal?
Well, I think one of the key things that we've committed to as a board this year, especially in that one goal that we've written together, is that we're able to provide things that are measurable, which is one of the aspects of being a SMART goal. So I think when we look at some of these, I just wonder, how are we measuring these things? Because I think in conversation, we also committed to having like a quarterly review of goals. So I just am wondering, how are we going to show that progress? What does that look like for us? Before we finalize everything and wrap it up with a bow, I just want to make sure that we're comfortable with what we've agreed to.
So key benchmarks, what are we looking, what do those key benchmarks in academic look like? And when are we provided those? Is that?
So in the past, I just would say that goal one about the strategic plan, to make sure that we're following through. There are benchmarks listed in the strategic plan
Right.
that we would put in and that we are measuring, and that would go into the notes for mid-year review or end of year review. That's how we've done that one.
That I remember, that was the one that we were talking about last week, where you were showing us like where we were
Mhm.
within strategic plan.
There were all kind of charts from last year that we put in here to show that we're meeting those benchmarks, sorry.
Is that part of the super eval? I think you told me that's where some of this is posted.
No, no.
Okay, all right,
The super eval is Dr. Genestri's goals and
right.
the evidence for
Yep.
his personal goals for
So
the
it
district.
has nothing to do with
No.
ours?
No.
Okay.
No,
that-
those are his
that's
goals.
What I had heard last year, and I'm glad you corrected me on that. So what about portrait of a graduate? Oh, that's something the state's been promoting as the next evolution and
That's different
whatever
than
they're-
the Sweet
they're-
Home
they're
Portrait of a
doing.
Graduate. Well, it's called the same thing, right? Which is a
So
little confusing.
We actually coined it first. I just want to say that a few years ago. So we do have it's in there. There's a graphic in there on our portrait of a graduate, and that's what this one is referring to.
so they're using more experiential, experimental, or whatever you call it, day-to-day life
Yep.
experiences, things. And in the end, they're not going to have to take a regents. They have to demonstrate.
That's the state.
That's the
So that,
state one.
when that was, we wrote our portrait of a graduate long before the state's guidance on that came out. So we want to follow what
That's the Sweet Home one.
Yeah,
which is
that's the
different
Sweet
than
Home one.
that you-
That's the one I'm referring to, or we're referring
Thank you
to.
for that.
It's so
She
confusing.
educated me on what
She's
a
got it.
portrait of a
You're welcome.
graduate looks like. But again, I don't know how you measure some of this if we're not testing it, so. That's my concern. It's just the measurement of it. It's a good goal.
Mhm.
I don't know whether it's our portrait of a graduate is gonna stick. Not whether it's ours or the state's, but I would be interested to see how we measure it along the way.
Okay.
And in the end, how the students do. Our graduation rate seems to be good. Our proficiency rates, I think, need some help.
Mhm.
But that's all I have on that.
Did you see the article on Board, Dirk, about the portrait of a graduate? It just came out a few days ago.
I
I
did
got
not
mine, yeah.
see it.
Okay. Yeah, they actually discussed this a little bit, and that then they did say that each school could have their own versions of it, but their versions could not add additional requirements beyond what the state was molding. And they're phasing it in over a few years. I don't remember the exact time frame, but I think the final one was 2029, if I remember right,
It's gonna start in 27. and then-
with the ninth grade class at that
Right.
point. Okay.
Right.
I just have a general comment on the goals. Now I wasn't able to attend the retreat, session, so this may have been discussed, but, in what I've noticed is I looked back at the last 3 years and this year, so this would be the fourth year. And I've noticed that, pretty much every year we have a goal around the strategic plan. Pretty much every year we've had a goal related to diversity, equity, inclusion. Every year we've had a goal, at least for the last 3 years, on capital,
Financial.
financial, but then we have actually on the capital, like project, like even 2 years ago, it was begin preparing for a capital project. Then last year it was, finalizing the capital project. And this year it's now presenting the capital project. So I guess one is I just want to make sure sometimes we're going through these, not even realizing we're kind of writing similar goals. Like we've had 3 years of, tweaks or, kind of similar things. So that's this is consideration, even if it's not this year, but now next year of really trying to say, let's not only look at what we're proposing, but let's look at where we've come from and if there's something new or different, or do we want to combine, because part of the, like DEI can be combined with a strategic plan or something, of a continued process. This is an example. But I guess it's a question I'm just putting out there, or is that a format kind of we just always, or we're in this period of time where, hey, goal number one was always going to be related to the strategic plan until we've thought otherwise, and goal number two was related to, DEI, or I'm not sure if it's goal number two, but there's, I don't think that's our intent per se. It just may have kind of worked out that way.
Well, I think I don't know if you were there at that meeting, but we did bring up what focus areas I think we discussed, and that's how we drafted these. So I just took the feedback from the board on the focus areas, considering I know these are big nuggets that we're going to tackle this year.
So it's more of a coincidence. It sounds like that like these were the coincidence that they're similar to the prior years. I mean, there may not be a coincidence because we're obviously working on them, but they're ongoing.
Well, if you look at our focus as the board,
Yeah.
it really doesn't change. I mean, we're running the district. So yes, we're gonna have the strategic plan in there. We're overseeing the finance and the budget. So we're gonna have to have something on that. With the DEI, we have that, right? So like that, if you look at what boards do, I mean, those are our objectives every year, so they should be somewhat similar, right? I mean, we could always add more if we see that we need one in a certain way, but I mean, in my view, like these boards are touching on, what we are doing, what we are evaluating ourselves on, and what we are implementing within the district, right? Our strategic plan, our capital project and our financing, our DEI, and this one is, the last one is the communication piece, so.
Oh, I'm comfortable with the goals. I just meant like,
Yeah.
it was more of a question, like, oh, I didn't know if we were even aware, like there was kind of a
Yeah,
consistency.
we
At the retreat.
did discuss that at the retreat,
Yeah.
that these 4 or 5 things seem to be, I think last year we had 5, I think this year we have 4, but these seem to be our focus, and that's where we came up with our.
Yeah.
our
Okay.
goals. Yes,
Geometry where you have a set of givens, like these
Yeah.
are things that we don't.
Strategic plan, in my view, is an operational thing. It's an important document on how things should run in the district.
yes,
The board's role in that is more
making sure, yes,
how it's being executed.
yes.
And we don't execute, we kind of govern, I guess is a better word. So it's interesting. Again, you got things in here that say exactly that. So
Yeah.
I guess I'm okay with that as long as we all. It's it's the most important document in the district. So maybe.
Which is why it's goal 1.
Looking backwards, we may need to spend more time analyzing what's exactly in there.
Agreed,
That's just my pet peeve. So
agreed.
thank you.
I wasn't at the meeting either, so I'm
Mhm.
getting things second. But I see, and we're talking about the SMART goals, that obviously the benchmarks in academics that easily be filled in with data and we can get, what would we be measuring with social emotional? Would it be how many referrals? How would, how do you measure that? It just seems so out there.
Yeah, to me, when I always think about that, I think about, are we offering the services that our kids need? And I believe we're in a really good place. to do that. The strategic plan addresses that, the social and emotional piece. And so are our kids getting the services they need to succeed? And we can certainly measure that. We can get you.
Like
data
when
on
you
that.
give us reports, however often or what will you include as social emotional part of that?
Clay, do you want to take that one?
So we have a number of data points that we pull on to support that area. So the MRA, which is a survey that our Leader in Me schools give, is a comprehensive survey that covers every angle, and there's many components of social emotional learning included in that. We are expanding our use of another survey, BEST. You may have heard us talk about that with our MTSSI program that we've been very highly focused on. That is a social emotional assessment. But most certainly the things you mentioned, attendance, behavior, referrals, those are all things that can feed into
It's
that.
just looking at this, it looks, I mean, if you look at how SMART goals are prepared, this has measurable goals. This has end dates. This has, so I think a lot of components to SMART goals is in there.
Okay, any other questions on goal number 1? Okay, moving on to goal number 2. The Board of Education will lead efforts to inform the public about the next major capital project and support all initiatives necessary to ensure its successful passage. The board will work collaboratively with all stakeholder groups, including but not limited to the Building Use Committee and the Athletic Council, to develop a comprehensive communications plan that reaches all district voters. The board will execute this plan in a preparation for the public vote scheduled for December 16th, 2025. In addition, the Board of Education will create and adopt a 2026-2027 fiscal budget that aligns with the strategic plan and remains fiscally responsible to the taxpayer. The board will direct district administration to continue advocating for state and federal aid to support program growth and address student needs. All right, are there any questions or comments about goal number 2?
Again, it's pretty broad based here. And that's specific to a passing of a budget item, voting item. I don't
Only part of it.
know, but I don't know if that's board's goal here is to make sure that we have a proposition out there to bring some money in to take care of some badly needed expansions in our elementary building.
In a
is
fiscally
it-
responsible way.
Yes, in a fiscally responsible way. But is it our job to go out and promote it, or are we directing the district to go out and promote this or communicate with the public the necessity of at least Proposition 1 in my mind? The
Yep.
second one becomes more wish list, and I'm very happy that they get the vote on that separately. I do, I get a little nervous when we go out and we kind of do a dog and pony show because we're going to speak from maybe one side of things instead of more of an educational, transparent way that we really need this. So please vote for this. These other things, we'd like to do this, but if taxes are an issue for you, we would understand. Something like that.
So
Maybe I
the
get a
part
little-
about ensure its successful passage that's bothering you.
Yes, it's not our role. It's a taxpayer's role to vote on it. So just like to be able to give them what they need to know to make a decision that's best for them, the community. And obviously, in the end, we'd like to have something that helps our school get to a position where we can take care of the children. So. I don't
How
know
would
if
you
I'm
reword that?
Splitting hairs. You want me to reword it right now, Amy?
Well,
I don't know.
I'm understanding what Danny's saying is the concern is to ensure its successful passage. So how would you reword that as we promote this very large project to our public, in hopes of it being successful, but also in a fiscally responsible way? How would you reword that to make it more comfortable, I guess? I'm not understanding.
Maybe promotion and maybe successful passage could be just taken out, right?
The Board of
Just
Education.
communicate to the public that there is a have these projects that we think are necessary to take care of our children, educate our children.
To support all initiatives necessary to educate the public on the importance of.
Yeah, that would be fine. Something along
cetera.
that line. That makes sense, guys? It's not up to me here.
I'm just looking at it like, we all voted to move this forward. So if we're not in support of it, wait, something's wrong. So I think we have to come out as a unified group to say, yes, we voted to bring this to the public. We supported it.
Right.
And then we go to our PTAs. You know, people come up to us and say, hey, I have a question about, I read it as just talking to people about it, but I think we do, I mean, we all voted to move this forward.
Yeah, moving it forward isn't
Well,
voting.
inform the public. Well, if we all agreed, I saw it as, yes, we agreed that these should be done.
We agreed that these should go to the public for a vote.
Correct.
We all understand the importance, at least of Proposition 1. And we also agree that Proposition 2 is kind of a wish list, and if the public has an appetite for additional
Right, and
tax
that's gonna be
increase.
up to them. But we also are,
So that's all. I'm just trying to make it so it's the community's decision, not necessarily just ours, because it's their tax dollars that pay for it.
Right, but I think as stewards of the budget,
Stewards. Okay,
are we not?
somewhat, yeah.
Okay, well, as the board that directs the district on how to use the public's funds, we've said we need these updates. We've all agreed that we need these updates, and we're asking the public for the funds because we believe it's important that this happens. Now, if that's not the case, like Mary Ann said, that's a different conversation. Do we not all agree that this needs to happen?
I think the district needs these building expansions to take care of the children, yes, but we're not gonna go out and do a dog and pony show.
Nobody's asking you to.
Well, that's what this says.
No, it doesn't. It
Board-
says we're
the
gonna lead
board-
efforts to inform the public.
Okay, let me read it again then. Where is that, Amy?
The very first sentence, the Board of Education will lead efforts to inform the public.
Okay, support all initiatives necessary to ensure a successful passage. What does that mean?
Inform the public about the next major capital.
Ensure successful passage.
You skipped half the sentence, Dirk. Go back.
I'm reading the end of the session that I'm having a problem with.
So the way I read, we're gonna support all the initiatives necessary, which is the seeker, the scope and of the project. All of those things that need to be done is the initiatives that are necessary to do that, right?
And to inform.
And to inform, right? That's part of it, informing the public, but we also need to do the things, that we've talked about the last couple of board meetings, which,
What if we-
is our scope and sequence, is where our priorities were, going from, we always had the tax neutral proposal. We decided to support the initiatives by combining the second and third propositions into one proposition. That's what this is saying.
So what if instead we just reworded that first sentence to say the Board of Education will lead the effort to inform the public about the next major capital project and support all necessary initiatives, period. We just take out to ensure its successful passage. I mean, we're still saying we're supporting it. We're just taking out, like, the successful passage is up to the,
Successful passage.
I know we do. So I mean,
Wouldn't our goal
Successful.
be to have a successful passage of our capital project? Isn't that our goal, is to have a successful passage of our capital project?
I would think so.
My goal.
Am I
Yeah,
wrong
that's
on
my
that?
goal.
Otherwise, we've been wasting a lot of time.
And I will say that those items in Proposition B were items identified by thousands of people that responded to that thought exchange and subsequent focus groups. Those are not items that we just yanked out of the air. We got feedback from our public and those are items that they wished to be included. So
And a lot of them are,
Like they want to vote, but we
Right.
still have to give them the facts.
and a
Like
lot of
on
them are
PTA meeting,
included
they-
in the building surveys.
Yeah.
And I mean, when you're talking about like, we're upgrading the elementary schools by additions. Then the second proposition is continuing that by shoring up the hallways, replacing carpets, painting gyms, putting new gym floors in, putting new padding in, putting new lighting in the gym. The second proposition is not just back here. It's continuing on the first proposition.
And even if you look at like the turf replacement, what we were told when we did the high school project back then, what the expected life of the turf would be. By the time we start digging out here or anywhere,
It's
or
gonna
if
be
we've
past
reached that point. So after that, now it's a safety issue for our students. And other students, the other people, anybody who uses the facility.
I don't disagree that what's in there is things we need, should be done. And whether they come online immediately, 7, whatever. It's just the way it's worded to the public. Again, I don't think it's our job to tell the public how to vote. I think that presenting it to
I
them,
don't think
presenting
that
them the
we are doing
issues.
that.
And yes, it's our wish. I agree with you. We want a successful passage, at least with Proposition 1. My view was Proposition 2. Community's really got to tell us they're willing to spend more money over the next 20 years to add these additional things.
And that's the whole
Mhm.
purpose, I feel, of going around and talking to people at PTAs and anywhere we can to get them down to the nitty gritty. You just see it's something that says, help the buildings. Well, let's tell them what we're going to do when they walk into Maple Mere and Heritage.
Is that our job?
It is our job to
Yes.
inform the public. It's their money
So
we're
this goal is
spending.
for the board to go out and promote this project.
No, it's for Dr.
It
Janeski.
says right
and
there
his-
to inform the public.
It said lead
Inform the
efforts to inform, lead efforts to inform.
We do
Does
that-
not mean you
we
have
do-
to go
we-
there.
We do that through the superintendents, do we
Yes.
not?
Yes.
We
And
don't
through
do
our
that
meetings.
But when I went to my PTA meeting, I talked about this and absolutely promoted it and told them what's in each proposition, and you'll get more information from Dr. Janeski.
I think the superintendent and Don Feldman can do a better job of presenting it.
Oh, I'm sure.
What if we,
They
what if we
will.
just say?
They
take
plan
it
to go to every
My
PTA
role
meeting.
and my
Absolutely.
sense of the community is they want to see what they're voting on.
Correct.
Could we
And
just
there'll
say
be plenty of
to
opportunity for that.
support all initiatives necessary so the public understands the importance of
That's what it says in the
passage,
first line,
this
to
passage?
inform the public.
I
agree
don't,
with
I don't
that.
think we can put understands, make the public to understand. I think that's,
Necessary to educate the public.
Educate, communicate, I think are good words.
necessary-
But yeah, I know where you're coming from.
Et cetera. Something.
Okay. Well, you want to wordsmith that a
Well,
little
I mean,
bit?
we're trying to word it here on the spot. What I'm trying to say is, you know, we
Remember,
have,
this is just a
have some-
discussion, so
we don't have to vote on it
we don't
tonight,
have,
is what
we're
you're
not
saying.
voting on this today. We are gonna vote on them next
But it's
month.
I know, Mr. Rabinold, I know you were concerned about the cost impact for the second one, but they've been very clear about that up front. I mean, every presentation we've seen has showed the first line is what the cost is, second line is what the expected tax increase would be. That has been upfront, very transparent what that number would be. And like Mr. Jason mentioned, I attended the high school PTSA meeting, and I mentioned that I explained the vote, and I basically read to them these charts so that they're aware of it and they could ask questions.
I
if
did
they
the same
wanted.
at Willow Ridge.
And going forward, Don and Mike will be at those same PTA meetings and they'll explain and answer all the questions. I don't think it's solely on the board, if that's what your concern is. It's not solely on us. We're just reiterating what Don and Mike are doing and showing our support.
Okay.
Is that what you're thinking? So are you good with how it's written, or are we going to wordsmith some of this?
We can wordsmith some of it
In
and
there.
present it again in our study session in October and vote on it.
And my point is just education, communication. Key for
Absolutely.
both the benefit of it passing and maybe for the people that really are concerned about our spending, have a chance to voice their opinion.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
That's all I'm trying to get at.
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely. I think we can all agree that that's valid. That is a very valid statement that you're making. But in my questioning was not to question you, Dirk. I really was not doing that. I really just was
wondering if the phrase Danny had mentioned was the phrase that you were concerned about, and how do we wordsmith that to make it better?
Okay.
That was my question. I didn't mean to be
Oh, no, we're fine.
combative. I absolutely understand what you're saying.
I'm a big boy.
No, but I want you to know, I understand what you're saying and I agree with what you're saying. I just want to make sure that we wordsmith it properly and not,
Okay, I think we'll do that. I think we'll be fine. with
Okay.
that. Peter's good with that stuff.
Okay, we all good with goal 2? Okay. Goal number 3, the Board of Education will strengthen stakeholder engagement by fostering deeper connections with school buildings, educators, and the broader community. The board will promote frequent, transparent communications to clearly convey district priorities and decisions, while also creating regular opportunities for feedback to support collaborative and informed governance.
I really like that.
thank you.
Thank you, Danny.
Who wrote that? The rationale's not so bad either.
No.
Read the rationale.
Okay, so the board is committed to ensuring that we are one community. We believe that the best way to achieve this is through transparency and strong relationships, particularly with our teachers. It is essential that all members of our school community are informed, engaged, and heard. Open and honest discussions will help move the district forward, ultimately enhancing our ability to serve the students of Sweet Home.
Okay, very nice.
Good with that one? Okay, moving on to number 4.
Yeah, I think that one's very well written.
Yeah, it is very well written. The Board of Education is committed to expanding opportunities for all students in the district. The work of the district-wide Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, or DEI committee, is well established, and the committee will continue to develop and implement initiatives that ensure equitable opportunities for student growth, such as the Leader in Me. The DEI committee and its teaching and learning subcommittee will review the strategic plan and recommend the next phase of its implementation.
I had a question about this one, and this
Yes.
kind of goes back to that backtracking question that I had earlier, is that there's not, I feel like when I'm reading this, this is not us stuff. We talk about the committee, we talk about the DEI committee, and we talk about the schools needing to do kind of like their part, but there's not really like, what is the board doing in all this? Like, okay, we're committed to expanding opportunities for all students. That's a blanket statement. That's not even really DEI. That's like what we're all here to do. So when we're talking about through the DEI lens, like what are we actually, what is the expectation for the 7 of us in this goal?
Well, one of the things that we've done in the past is, and I know Dr. Wilson was instrumental on clearing up the prerequisites for honors classes. So like that was from the equitability standpoint. So we are doing things like that. That's what we are promoting. We usually take the data snapshots that Dr. Wilson and Dr. Genestri give to us, and they're making recommendations, changing curriculums, changing prerequisites so more kids are open to honors, advanced placement classes, such like that. Those are, and then,
After school.
after school busing, those, yes, those are all the things
Code
that,
of conduct.
yes, that's all the things that we are doing. You know, believe it or not, the cell phone plan, or distraction-free plan, right? I believe that all falls in this. That's diversity, equity, inclusion. What are we doing for that? You know, we're talking about 24 new special ed students, right? Where we're providing them education where we can, if we can bring them into our buildings, or we have to find other locations for them. All of that, I believe fits into goal 4.
Right.
I would agree with that statement. I would look at this statement and think that this is when we're looking at how we're handling any business in the district at all, no matter what it is, that it's always students first. And how do we make the students feel welcome and comfortable and no matter who they are and what level they're at, you know, from our littlest littles to our graduating seniors and our exceptional classrooms and our honors classes and our gen ed classes, no matter who they are. To me, that's what this is teaching and learning and always keeping the kids in the forefront of what every decision we make.
So I know we know that, right? We know that like the back of our hands, but
But I feel like this goal doesn't really do that justice, because like the list that you gave and the list that you just gave are huge and they're all encompassing of everything. So I just feel like maybe we could add something in there that kind of tallies that up and shows exactly what it is that we are supporting here and how we're doing
I
that.
think we could be, I'm weary about changing the goal, putting that stuff in the goal.
Oh, no,
we
not
could
individually, because it's gonna be huge.
Well, no, but we could beef up the rationale.
Yeah,
Well, the other thing is the DEI committee, it says the last sentence is, will review the strategic and recommend the next phase. I mean, that's part of the goal.
Right.
The goal is they're going to say, at some point, we're going to get somebody to give
DEI
us.
presentation to
These are
us,
the
yes.
points that we need, these are what we're going to work towards.
They're also gonna be working on the code of conduct. They were
Yeah.
working on it at the end of the year, decided it wasn't quite ready to move forward at that
Right.
point. So there's the people who are offering the code of conduct, which is our responsibility. Every year, we have to make sure it's been updated and approved.
The strategic plan was written for 3 years. So that committee is going to oversee where are we going next to make sure it continues to live.
so I feel like Leader in Me is like, it's a huge piece, but it's also a piece. So when we talk about like PBIS, MTSS, all of the other stuff that we do, because I think what happens a lot of times is people see DEI and they're not getting the whole picture of the students that we're servicing. So we've mentioned 15 times tonight, those 24 new special education students. We mentioned that we have a 13% special education population in this district. That is encompassed in DEI,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So I
100%.
think, I just wonder if everyone understands, and I know you're going to speak about this, so we're getting to it. Okay.
Take your time.
But just
I don't
understands
know if I'm up for
exactly.
it tonight.
Oh, really? Come
No,
on, man.
Go for it.
But we had like 3 conversations this week. What do you mean?
Go ahead.
But I think just,
Yeah, you're right. And then, we speak 42 different languages here. Our owl population and, there's a lot of, there's poverty in our district. It's all of that that's encompassing it.
So
That's why I see it as broad, but
do you think that the last statement in the rationale should be in the goal? It says the board remains committed to advancing equity and ensuring that every student benefits from the full range of opportunities that Sweet Home has to offer.
I love that
and
sentence.
you
he-
move- yeah,
he
do you
mentioned
move that
something
to
this
the front?
week When we were having a conversation that like the word unity
Mhm.
is kind of like the overarching thing. It doesn't replace DEI. It doesn't kind of knock it out of the way, but we're trying to build one
Good movement.
community. Like we
There
mentioned
you
that
go.
in the rationale for our board goal. So when we talk about this, that might also be something to
You want
put
me-
in there as well.
you want me to talk about what he was talking?
And if I could chime in on.
Right ahead, you say whatever you need to say this
Go
week.
ahead.
Chime in on Leader in Me. Leader in Me is our biggest lever in providing every student that last sentence. Every student, making sure that every student benefits from the full range of opportunities in Sweet Home. Because Leader in Me is an opportunity for every student to connect to leadership, every student to see how they are a perfect member of our community, every opportunity for our staff members to step up and be a champion. From every angle, every point that you all talked about, which made me proud talking about DEI, by the way. From every point that you all talked about, Leader in Me enhances that. So I see it as really the fabric of helping us get to, it's the thread in the fabric to help us get to.
So that's the point. We're trying to get somewhere. Okay, and that's when I started having conversations to myself, doing a little bit of reading.
Did you agree with yourself? That's what-
You know,
Did
you're.
you answer back?
I gave myself the right answer, just so you know. But, diversity is not a goal. It should never be a goal. Unity can be a goal. Equity, right, is not about an outcome. It shouldn't be. It should be equal opportunities in my mind. So in inclusion, we have a public school. All students should have access, and maybe you can use the word equitable services.
Right.
All students, not one group versus another,
No,
but they all
no,
should
no.
have an opportunity to participate in the many programs we have. So those are some of the thoughts I had. I think unity is a big goal. I think it's a noble goal.
Is there a way to work that into what we've got? Because that is,
But by the way, diversity of the cultures we have, what a huge benefit our children have. I think those are big things. Diversity of ideas and conversations and thinking, and it's
And
just
food.
wonderful diversity of
Do
food.
not leave out the food.
But I'll talk about that later. But anyways, these are some of my thoughts. And again, I'm not trying to pick on anything here. I'm just trying to say, the public sees DEI in a different tone. The federal government sees it in a different tone. You've got an Albany Board of Regents that is strongly opposed to doing anything different. But the public doesn't know what exactly we're trying to do with DEI.
Here, right,
What is-
because it means different things. in
I'm
different
sorry, go
places.
ahead.
No, you're okay. What if we, taking what you're saying, what if we just add, in the second sentence, it says the work of district-wide diversity, equity, and inclusion. What if we did the unifying work of the district-wide diversity, equity, and inclusion? Does that encompass what you're trying to say? If the unifying work of,
Instead,
Well,
equitable.
we don't know how to measure it. Is it unified? Do we have a way to measure how DEI is performing in our school district? I mean, some
Right.
benchmarks along the way. Are we having less conflicts? Are we having better educational
How
results? In
many
the end, we
kids are
got to
taking
educate
the
kids, right?
advanced-
Right. I mean, when we look at how many kids are taking AP classes,
Yeah.
that's been opened up. Now we have after school. Obviously, the after school buses are going to start October 2nd. So that's measurable, right? We'll be able to measure how many kids in each
But-
building are taking advantage.
Okay,
Of
but we're
these
3 years into
opportunities.
this. Do we have some way to say we've grown in this aspect? Do we have some way to say this is come along? Yes, we've instilled Leader in Me in all the schools, and we have Lighthouse schools and all that good
But-
stuff.
We've presented on that growth every
Yeah.
year, in the spring.
Okay.
And the word unity to me means bringing everything together.
Yeah.
I guess equity to me might be the word that I think that this committee tries to do, that everybody has an equitable chance of tapping into every opportunity the district offers.
Equal opportunity is
Yes,
what I
yes.
prefer,
Yeah.
but anyways, okay.
Yeah. So we have presented, I'm sorry.
that's okay,
Ms.
but
Diggle,
our DEI, correct me if I'm wrong,
every year.
yes, we present on it every year, but the strategic plan went through the lens of DEI. The code of conduct is currently going through the lens of DEI. As we move forward in a lot of our initiatives within the district, we do them through that lens. So I feel like as our initiatives are being successful, that's our measure, our growth measure. Am I seeing that correctly?
I think
That was always the goal of ours, yeah.
But I
as a
think
measure,
what-
but Mr. Rabenho, you mentioned the increase in number of schools that are Lighthouse schools. That's a high level performing Leader in Me school, and that has been improved. And then we're growing the program at the middle school and the high school. So those are also points that we can look to for growth.
You
So then
mentioned a
is
goal
there-
last week that you want to be the first Lighthouse district.
Yes.
It's a goal.
That's a goal.
It's a goal.
Oh, there you go. So there's a direct correlation between this DEI and Lighthouse? You think that?
Yeah, last year we worked hard to bring them together. I think that was the important, because we felt like we had all these programs that were kind of floating out there, and we said, why don't we just use Leader in Me? Because that has that's touching all the buildings right now. We might not be Lighthouse in all the buildings, but all buildings are working on that framework. And it was kind of like the perfect marriage of the two.
For people that are listening that aren't familiar with what Leader in Me is, it's Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People for kids. It brings it down to a level that kids can understand and they can utilize, and that works perfectly in school. So for people that don't know what that program is, that's basically what it is. So if you've ever had to do that at work, or you've read the book, or you've got the $300 planner, that is exactly what that is.
I
But-
still write notes in my planner every day.
But to Dirk's point, I think like there's a focus in society now where there's kind of a shift. So we know that DEI means different things in different places. It means different things in healthcare than it means in finance, than it means in education, than it means in government. And I think this would be a fantastic opportunity to clarify to the community, to everyone, what exactly it is that DEI means for our district. Like, what are we talking about here? So I love moving that sentence up from the rationale. Maybe throwing the word unity in after where it says ensure equitable opportunities. Ensure equitable opportunities. We'll figure it out. But I think like that would be a great thing to be able to put in there, because that goes back to our one district sort of idea.
They make that happen.
All right.
Amy's on it.
Thank you,
Type in.
Mrs. Battaglia.
How do I do?
Wish I could type like that.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion on the goals?
Really?
No? Okay, so let us move on. All right. So I believe our next point on the agenda is upcoming events. We have all of our, Spirit Week and homecoming activities this week. We have a couple of, neighborhood meet and greets and, rescheduled, PTA, PTO meetings. I believe Glendale has the chicken dinner on Thursday.
Yep.
A couple other open houses, book fairs, homecoming, again, Fall Picture Day is coming up in the next couple of weeks at the different buildings. A couple of fun runs, and then PTA meetings as we move into October.
You have a
Okay.
question, Dirk?
The meet and greet, does that go back to many years ago when a couple folks would walk a neighborhood with their local teachers, principal?
Jim Ryan's gonna do
Yep.
one for
Yeah.
Maplemere.
Right,
Yeah.
by the way.
Did anybody come by your house? Because
No.
Heritage's was yesterday. Nobody came by mine either.
Already came out.
Uh,
Well,
not that I know of.
It's okay.
I guess my wife.
I was home all night.
Mine either, but I wasn't home, so I'm actually.
I think they try and hit.
I think we
new
also have a
families.
couple,
Okay.
We don't count.
MIC teacher nights coming up.
Yes,
I
Glendale
believe.
has two
Yeah,
MIC
we
teachers.
have a couple of MIC teacher nights coming
Tides
up
has
as
one.
well. So that, it leads us into, end of September, beginning of October. Which leads us to our first open session.
I have one more quick
Oh,
question.
yep,
I'm
sorry.
sorry.
Ms.
Um,
Baglia?
Dr. Genestri, when we do the flu shot clinic, will there be COVID boosters?
No,
Thank you.
just the flu shot.
Just the flu shot. Okay. Go ahead, sorry.
Okay, sorry. Per board policy 1510, this open session is for topics related to tonight's agenda. If any, is anyone interested in speaking on items of tonight's agenda? Okay, so let me read this up. As per board policy 1512, we hold two open sessions at each meeting. The first session is limited to comments on the agenda items for tonight's meeting. The Board of Education recognizes the importance of maintaining an open dialogue with community members. In so doing, community members choosing to speak at a Board of Ed meeting are bound by the terms outlined in this policy and must conduct themselves in a manner consistent with the policy. The District Code of Conduct and all the laws and regulations that govern the operations of the Board of Education. Speakers must be recognized by the president, presiding officer, and announce their name, address, and if appropriate, group affiliation. Non-district residents must include the name of their business and how they do business with the Board of Education. Statements should be made to the board president, not individual board members. Participants may not discuss specific individuals or issues that fall under executive session. Speakers must be at least 16 years of age and are limited to 3 minutes each. Speakers may not transfer their time to another participant, and the total amount of time for each public period is 30 minutes. All speakers in the open session must state the agenda item that they are speaking on. So you are all set to go. Make sure that they're,
This is on, right?
yes.
Okay. I don't have the agenda, so I'm sure you'll recognize what part of the agenda I'm referring to. I'll try and be specific as possible.
Okay.
You said that there has been public input or meetings regarding the propositions for the capital improvement project that you discussed briefly tonight. When was that? I didn't hear anything about it.
It's been going on for a couple of years. We did a thought exchange online. That was 2023 through, right? Am I correct on those dates? So that,
Well,
that's,
I
and the
mean, I
building
guess
use
my
survey
question is,
talking.
you've already failed your third goal. I didn't know anything about this. How is that possible? I read everything you guys send me. Okay.
Yeah.
Nobody has anything else? You guys don't say anything anyway, so I'll just keep going. I heard someone say today that part of the strategic plan for this board is going to give the students of this district social and emotional concern assessments. Is that true?
Don't answer.
What? Dr. Wilson said they were going to get assessments. What did she mean by that? And it was related to social, emotional concerns. What does that mean?
That's,
No.
All right, nobody's going to answer this either. I mean, to the people that are watching, there's the camera. They need to start asking these questions because I don't think you guys are telling us the whole truth about what's going on in this school district. And I think that that's been borne out over the last couple of months when the whole Teachers Association voted to get rid of the superintendent, among other things, and they have a petition online to do that very same thing. So, I mean, I'm sitting in this meeting today. This is, I'm guessing, the first meeting of this school year that just started. No one even talked about that. How is that even possible? Okay, capital project questions. Does anybody on this committee ever play sports? I played sports my whole life. I've never been injured on natural grass. Please do not put these kids on turf fields. And why do you need lights? I don't understand. Is there some justification? Do you need to have games at night? Why? It's just a waste of money and you got more things to maintain. Okay, the capital project mentioned a new building and you keep mentioning 24 new students. And I heard that there's transportation costs that are making the budget, they're creating budget struggles.
That's
for
a
this
3-minute
district.
time limit.
That's it? Okay,
3 minutes.
thanks.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Okay, moving on to our next topic is new business. May I have a motion and a second for consent agenda A through I?
So move.
Second.
Okay, I read through them, right? All right, so A, special education. I know Marianne, it was a little bit late this
Yeah, it was
month.
pretty light, but again, I'm still seeing students who are coming into the district are special.
Are there
ed
24 of them?
students. Not 24 this
Thank
month,
you.
but not only are, special ed students, but then our, 3-year-olds that they're evaluating. So there's just a lot for them to do.
B is monthly financial reports, policy 2140. C, a disposal of obsolete property, policy 5250. I believe there's 31 obsolete air purifiers.
Correct.
D is the unassigned fund balance. E is our professional learning plan that we went over last week when we had the presentation.
I had one quick question when
Yes.
you mentioned the air purifiers. Are we still using those MERV
MERV 13
things that we
filters.
started with COVID?
Yeah, so the air purifiers that are on the agenda tonight were donated in the pandemic by Erie County. They've just reached the end of their useful life from that standpoint. But the actual air circulation in the building is filtered through MERV 13 filters that we do change once every 6 months.
Thank you.
Okay, professional learning plan. F is the student breakfast lunch prices. I believe it's the adult breakfast and the adult lunch prices. G is an overnight field trip request, policy 8460 for the girls swimming competition in Rochester. And I believe that also is Allegheny or.
Yeah, I have a message into there. I'm gonna have to clarify, but I agree with concerns that were brought up by the board regarding that, and we're going to address those concerns because of the dangers that could pose. So we'll take care of that.
So do we pull this out or are we?
No, they still need to do the competition, but we'll amend that.
Adopt a-
Yeah.
Bids under policy 5410, plow truck bid, for a new, snowplow truck for the district. And then I is the leasing of a custodial equipment, which I believe is all mostly cleaning, floor
Floor
cleaners and
scrubbers.
floor scrubbers. Okay, any questions or comments? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Opposed? Again, abstentions, sorry. That's the word I was looking for. Okay, informational items. Mary Ann, would you like to start?
I sure will. Just a couple things. Attended the summer graduation, and even though there were only 2 kids there, it was great. Just a lot was mentioned about how these kids persevered and that quality is going to serve them well as they move on. And the other thing was Maple-Mare PTA meeting. I will say that when I was talking about our building proposal, somebody mentioned that they were at Brian's meeting at the middle school and said, you brought it up too, so yay. Financially, they're very good. October 6th at 3:20 is going to be their walk around if anybody wants to join them. Fall Fest is tomorrow. I think Dr. Genestri and I will be going to that. What else? Their goal for the year is titled Picture Perfect. Things we don't always see in the classroom, they'd like to kind of capture that, which is a good goal. And I guess that's it. Oh, I had one question. Our proposals for next month, are we going to start talking about those or will we get those? Because you're going to be voting on those next month. Those should be starting to come out pretty soon.
Oh, they've been out.
Okay,
yeah.
so when do we start talking?
The meeting's in October, so it has to be
So it has to
October.
be at one of our October.
Probably the next meeting,
Okay,
Okay.
because
okay.
I got a meeting October 9th with the rest, I was gonna bring it up for the rest of our county associations, the school boards, we're all getting together.
So
to
we'll
discuss
have
it.
that the first week, our first board meeting?
I don't know what the days are, sorry.
We can
Yeah.
get the gist of it to you this week and then
Beautiful.
we can get discussion in
Okay,
October.
thank you.
Okay, Scott?
Handful of things. I also attended the summer school graduation. It was great to see that 11 kids worked their way through and got it done, even if only 2 came in the graduation. I talked to one of the moms afterwards because they were also in the school for the open house that night. I talked to her in the hallway afterwards. Let's see, sorry. We had a Sweet Home Education Foundation reorganization meeting at the end of August. We have a few new members on there. And I just went through working on a discussion of all possible goals. They're looking at a potential event, working with the Northwest Amherst Community Center up at Creekwoods, but they still haven't got the logistics worked out yet. That was just something they were looking at. They're trying to find more choices of halal foods. We have a significant number of families that are asking for halal foods. Let's see. I also did the high school PTSA meeting. Dana Liberta is their teacher rep this year. I know they've been, last couple of years, it's been a struggle a little bit. Mr. Lucenti spoke at the meeting, introduced himself, talked a little bit about his thoughts. He was going, and I didn't hear it in the school, but I know he was talking about some awards that he wanted to pass out. Did he make an announcement?
I did not hear.
Okay,
Haven't heard.
okay. I thought he was going to do it the next morning, but I'm not sure of that. So, but he's got some awards that he wants to put together for the students. The high school PTSA is at 56 members so far, and they're going to be working at the Fall Craft Fair. Just last night, we had an Alumni Association board meeting. They announced that they are, Don actually announced it for us, $33,100 in scholarships last year. We had 2 members of the class of 86 come in. They were talking with us. They're doing a 40-year reunion next year. And they were looking for the alumni committee to give them some thoughts on how it would work, give them some kind of, what things they've seen with other groups and what have you. So there was some information for them. They have scheduled it ready for August 15th of 2026 at the 300 Transit. Lastly, the class of 2025 donated over $5,000, which will be used for scholarships. Following alumni, I had the chef board meeting last night. We had a number of student reps come in and they were talking about the various things they're doing on committees within the school itself. I know one of the professional closed closet for the kids and a few other projects that they're working on. Let's see. We found Northwest Bank and Feed More Western New York are going to be donating reusable shopping bags for the Chef Cares food delivery program that goes out every couple of weeks. The board itself, we broke down into 4 separate groups to discuss the goals for the year and how we might start working on those. And finally, for the teachers, the mini grant applications should be going out early next week and they'll be due back on October 14th. And that's it.
Amy?
Nothing for me.
Dirk?
Okay, well, did I mention this last week, the ECASB?
No, we didn't talk about it.
Okay, all right, do I have to?
Have to? No. I forgot about it.
Apparently Dave Lowry, I went to the Budget and Finance Committee Thursday last week. By the way, they already voted on the budget for this year, which I was kind of surprised. I had no input in any of that. And they are going to make some changes, which they don't even have to go back out to the delegate committee or whoever to vote on it. So I was a little disappointed in that. But it was good attendance. I think it's the first meeting of the year, and we'll go in February, Brian, and you'll vote on the budget for next year. I was happy to hear that they raise a lot of money from sponsors, from the vendors. So that offsets any dues that we pay. Has actually been able to keep that pretty constant over, I don't know how
It's been more than 10 years since they've had a dues increase.
he's been there. So that was happy news. Yes, his dinner was fun. He did talk about this dinner. He said, yeah, we had put fillets on the menu. He got a little shocked when he saw the bill. There were $72 of filet, but he had it in his budget. So I had chicken, by the way. So,
I had the filet.
No filet for you, huh?
no filet. I didn't choose, usually I do. I didn't choose the beef. So Keith Wiley was there. He spoke to us. He's the 17th, the new regents. He did talk. He talked pretty proud about being in pushback against the federal government with DEI. So they're all 100% supportive of it in New York State, which you take that for whatever it is. I was able to get to the HPTA meeting for Heritage Heights. We talked a little bit about some projects coming, a little bit about some other things. DEI did come up. There was the lady there that identified herself as Jewish and was not happy with where DEI was going. Felt like it wasn't helping her and her family. Again, that's her comments. He also talked about the multicultural night, which was primarily food. And she suggested, well, maybe we can do something about our backgrounds and have a conversation amongst folks that participated. I think it's a great idea. I asked her to come to the board to speak about that. There was also a comment that says that Heritage Heights Board does not allow any holiday celebrations, specifically Christmas. I don't know, did the board ban any holiday celebrations in the elementary buildings?
Bus board?
Yes. No? No. Dr. Genestri, no?
I don't, it shouldn't have been at the board level, no, but we're sensitive to those items in our buildings for sure. Because that can be a point
Is
of
it
contention. for some.
possible they use the board as the scapegoat?
I don't know. I'll have to inquire about that.
Well, please, the board is, I'm pro holiday celebration, just so you know.
Yeah.
In the past, from what I know of the particular situation, in the past, it has been very one culture focused. And if we can't include all, then we should do it at all, was the comments that were made back when they initially took it off the table. But that was not at the board level.
Okay.
Thank you.
I do have the minutes from the Budget and Finance Committee if you'd like. All right, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Danny?
So Dr. Genestri and I have started a new weekly tradition called Touring Tuesdays. Except today we didn't get to do it because my day job intervened with all my fun, so I couldn't go. But we are looking to basically go tour all of the different buildings in the district and spend some time with the teachers and the kids and the administrators and kind of see what's going on there. So last week we went to Ready Academy, which was amazing. I had no idea that they were doing so much of what they are doing there. It was astonishing to see the progress that they're making, the kids that they service. To kind of talk a little bit about the cell phone policy within the district, we saw kids playing Battleship. We saw kids playing chess. They were playing cards. They were drawing. They were talking to one another with their faces instead of being on their phones. And it was just really amazing to see that kind of level of interaction and all the great stuff that they're doing with that building. Do you mind if I talk a little bit about the cell phone thing? Because we did have a meeting, we had a committee meeting for the cell phone task force yesterday. It's going really, really well in the buildings. There are minimal infractions with kids being caught with their phones. Again, the kids are talking to each other, they're engaging in discussion during class. Everybody seems a lot more relaxed because they're not having to check their notifications. They don't have the pressure of having to respond, to texts that might not always be so nice or Snapchats that are not, kind. So overall, it's going really, really well. I weighed in kind of as a parent on the meeting yesterday because I told everyone when I joined that I was bringing my full mom anxiety because I have parented my entire career with a cell phone in my hand, and I'm totally fine. Nothing is broken. My kid comes home from school every day and he sits and he talks to me for like half an hour before he goes to the gym or goes to get ready for work or goes out to break something in my shed. It's fantastic because he's not at me all day sending me text messages about little things. He saves it up. He comes home. We have a great conversation with our faces and then we go about our day. So, nobody died. Everything's great. I have to make a couple plugs here for Glendale. They've got chicken on Thursday. So there is a chicken dinner at 4:00. If anybody wants to go pick one up, they do encourage pre-orders, but you can buy them there. You have until Friday, I believe, to order your Mrs. Fields cookie dough for their fundraiser. And there was one more thing for Glendale. Oh, their McTeacher night is from 4 to 7 o'clock at McDonald's on Sheridan, I believe. And for Maple Mere's Fall Fest, what animal is going to be there tomorrow night?
Goat.
It's gonna be a goat. Okay,
Yes.
awesome. I'm gonna go see a goat tomorrow night.
Wanted it to be a surprise, but it's going to be a goat.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Galante, if I could jump in, I did leave out one thing. On opening day, I came over and spent about 2.5 hours here. I got a chance to wander around the halls. I ducked my heads in 15 or 20 classrooms and talk to teachers at different points. I got to listen to our interim principal, talk to the kids. He had town halls for each of the individual grades, focusing on respect. And as I wandered through the school, I heard one locker ring, which I thought was kind of interesting. I'm walking down the hall and I hear a phone ringing, but I'm not seeing any kids doing this. I'm okay. So it's, but anyway, it was a locker. I understand from some of the teachers that's happened more than once, but I only saw in the 2.5 hours here, I only saw 2 kids with cell phones. And it's my understanding the cell phones did not last more than about 2 minutes after I saw them. I also, from there, I went over to the middle school and Miss Dory also did a town hall with it for the different grade levels and she was working her way through, again, talking about respect quite a bit. I went and watched lunch for a little while because we had approached that point, how they've separated the cafeterias to help move the kids along a little bit better. And the same, I didn't see a single cell phone over there. And it just, everything seemed to be working very smoothly over there too.
Can I just comment too on the cell phones? The feedback has been incredible. And from inside the buildings and touring the buildings and going to all of them, well, especially the high school and the middle school, that just the adults are commenting that the interaction the kids are having with each other and the peer interaction has just been beyond what they expected when this law came. So from our perspective, I know we've had nothing but positives regarding the law. And it's almost, I'm not speaking hyperbole, but it's been a culture changer really in the high school and at Ready, and the middle school is already doing it. So they're far ahead of the game. But as far as, we're in the buildings every day and the kids are talking and talking to adults more than ever too. It's been great. It's been great.
One of the teachers yesterday on the call mentioned that the kids are like, they're almost pretending like they're mad about it for like 5 seconds, but they're like really not. They feel like that need to like push back against authority, but it's not genuine. They're fine. Everybody's fine.
Very good.
Right?
Yep. All right, I attended the PTSA middle school meeting on the last week, Monday, and they're just were introductions and officers and really getting things up and running. Michelle Thorpe's the president of the PTSA over there, and I know right now they have the book fair going on. So it ends, I think it might be tomorrow, the 18th it ends. So not tomorrow, the next day. I also attended the athletic council meeting the following day on Tuesday, and a discussion that there was revolved around, upgrading the fields and the potential for that, and what we're talking about in Proposition 2. And then also, how do we connect more for feeder programs, whether it's within the district or even with outside of, of the youth programs to bring more kids engaged into sports and athletics. So we keep that going. The other thing I did want to just mention, and I just appreciate everybody's support in the last month. My father, who was a 17-year school bus aide, passed away 4 weeks ago, tomorrow. And I just appreciate especially the board and the district office on being there and the support. But also, I got a card from Dave Lowry. I got cards from teachers. I got cards from students who knew my dad. So, we talk about one community, and it really showed through during this period of time. And I just appreciate, everybody in the whole community being there and supporting myself and my family in many ways. It's very meaningful, and I appreciate that. My mom and my siblings do as well. And that's it for me.
All right. I attended the Willow Ridge PTA meeting. Most meetings are pretty much set up the same for the first meeting of the year. Get to know the new officers and stuff. They had open house on the 12th, and they have a skating party scheduled for the 24th and a fun run scheduled for October 10th. I attended the high school graduation and the high school open house. A little bit different this year. We got to walk the schedule instead of just having open meetings either outside or in the hallways with the teachers. So 9 minutes with the teacher is not very long for them to explain what's going on in their classroom. A lot of volleyball games, a football game last week, and the athletic council meeting last week. I attended as well. Right. Good. Okay, open session number 2. Would anyone like to address the board? You would have 3 minutes. Please state your name, address, relationship to Sweet Home, and if you want to speak, do you need me to read the policy again?
No,
Okay.
really not. We gotta shorten it. That's.
Again, Peter Hoysick. I live in the town of Tonawanda, Millwood. I kind of squeezed a little of this in earlier. Sorry, but I mean, do you guys really think I'm gonna keep coming here to these meetings? I could be home with my family. Just fire this man. He's not good at his job. He can't even start a meeting on.
Excuse me, Mr.
Excuse me,
President.
we do not, we will not accept comments that are personally directed or abusive to people on the board.
Is
or in
that
the
something
district.
that's changed since last year? So you specifically changed that, so I can't
Nope,
say this.
it's not. It is right here in the board policy.
What's the date on it?
I don't know, 5, 6 years, yeah, at least.
So you guys, so now all of a sudden you're gonna start enforcing it? Well, that's interesting. That's very interesting. Okay, let me move on to another subject then. These are 3 subjects that I think the residents would like to hear about at these meetings, and I never hear anything about it. You talked about DEI, but not in relation to the fact that the federal government is going to start cutting off federal funding to any school soon. And I'm just curious, I'm assuming this school district did not certify with the federal government that your DEI policies have ended because you're still putting it in your strategic plans and everything else. In light of the budgetary struggles that I heard all about through the whole course of this meeting today, don't you think you need to start planning for losing that money or get rid of your DEI policies? Electronic buses. I'd like to know the status of that. Today I heard there's 3. Last time I asked, there was 3. And you bought new diesel buses. So what's going on with that? And if you got all these millions of dollars for these electronic buses and you're not buying them, what are you doing with that money? Last. Apparently you're getting a new auditor, and it's interesting that you're having budgetary struggles. I find that it can't be a coincidence, but and I didn't understand a lot of this unassigned fund balance stuff, but it sounds like a school district that has all these budgetary struggles is about to spend millions more on a capital project and probably raise the residents' taxes again. How do you justify that? but you're not going to answer me, right? Okay, that's it for today.
Thank you.
Hello. My name is Sam Guadagna. I live at 269 Willow Green Drive. I've been a resident of this neighborhood for a long time. My last daughter is in the pipeline and she's a senior, and I want to thank the district for providing her for a really nice education, providing her with beautiful resources, beautiful teachers. So on that note, I'd like to jump off from that. That being said, I've noticed some things over the years. And I know that this is, I wanted to keep it to what you talked about, but I didn't really hear it, and I'm sorry that didn't happen. But I think it may dovetail into what you did say about the goals, the 4 goals. And so, with a little bit of background, I come from a teaching background. I started around the time of Columbine, all right? I've seen a good evolution of security. I worked in North Tonawanda. I'm a little bit disappointed by the security in the district. And I'll go from the most evident thing that I think is lacking. And I think that is the placement of the SRO car in the back here. That really shouldn't be there. It should be out in front where everyone can see. And I don't think it projects an image of that there's a problem. I think that that's a problem that I think people say that it's an image that we don't want. It should be there. I've worked in a bunch of different districts in the north. Oh, there's my timer. So I think that should be put off in front, first and foremost. That's easy. Doesn't cost anything. The geometry, the architecture of the buildings are not very conducive to a clean visual look at someone coming in. Specifically to the high school, I'm very intimate with the elementary school and the high school. I don't like the way from working in NT provides a straight-on shot and where you can look, and that's from which you look straight on, and the SRO, the guard on duty, the off-duty policeman who stands guard at the front, sees the person coming in dead on. There's no obscure, there's no turning, there's no, skewed angle. And that's a big deal. That being said, the first person who greets someone is at NT is a policeman, is an off-duty policeman. Not a clerk, not a secretary, although they're very nice people. They're the first one. And I think that's a mistake. I think your first person should be a policeman. And we don't have a medal.
3 minutes, just.
You can finish your thought.
And I'd like to say this. Okay. People have criticisms of weapon detectors, metal detectors. We all know that. They're not perfect. However, it projects an image. And an appearance is important. They're in a lot of schools. Why aren't they in our school? Why? Every school has a problem. I think if you project it as a weak district, you're soft. If you at least look like you have some type of security, that's at least says to someone, oh, I can see a car in front. I see that there's a metal detector. I see that there's an on-duty, off-duty policeman who's greeting me. Those are big questions that I have about this, and I've had them for years, much before Dr. Genestri. And I think that should be addressed. The architecture is easy. I was just in the high school recently. My daughter, as I said, is here. I'm in and out all the time. And I was in the attendance office. And when you go in, you see the camera. That's beautiful. I like that. That's nice. But it's still skewed. It's looking down at an angle. Great. You come in. You make a 90-degree turn to the attendance office. You're locked up. You're in the ante room. that foyer, you make a sharp right to the attendance lady. And I'm thinking to myself, this is wrong. Why is it wrong? And here's why it could be improved. Or I should say, the improvement can be made easily. You have a beautiful window. You've been in it. You've been in that. It's a beautiful window. When you approach, the person sitting at the attendance office sees the front end. They see the front view of the person coming in. She knows who's coming in through that window. That's nice. But it's still they're coming up and then they're turning and they're coming in the foyer. Why don't we think about entertaining the idea of constructing a pathway up to that window that's there already? Make an entrance to that side so you have a full-on view of the person coming in, going around that window, and now you could lock it up any which way you want. You put your policeman in that specific spot. He's the one who makes the first welcome to that person who comes in. That's the first thing. You want strength to be your first image, not anything else. Not, no offense, a person who is there just to do his or her job. You need, really, it needs to be tightened up. And I'm not going to say I'm the only one who says that, but it's a concern. And I've had it for decades. Decades. I can't believe I'm saying that. I'm that old. Okay? I've seen it. And I think, especially after everything, Sandy Hook, Columbine, you name it, they're problems. Okay? So anyway, thank you for entertaining me. And thank you for letting me go over a little bit. And I do have other things. Oh, I know what I wanted to say. Who is the person on the board who is charged with now, the tie-in was to get that idea and to promote it and to evolve it and coordinate it with your goals. There's your building fund. You want money, you want things to do with your money? Those are worthwhile projects to improve the approach to these schools. Heritage Heights or Willow Ridge, that approach is you're coming in an angle. I know it very well. Heritage Heights, a little bit less oblique. You got a straight on view at Heritage Heights where you could have someone posed in that first spot. Can you tell I've been thinking about this? It's a big deal. Okay. And my daughter's done at the end of this. However, I have a grandson in the pipeline in Heritage. So this is important and I'm not going to give up on it. But is there someone I can talk to at length about these ideas that need to be, hey, you've got to improve it. And if you want,
Mr. Gunn,
but you want to talk about informing people? Go to my new friend, Facebook. There's where you get to people to know stuff.
Thank you.
Really. You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Yes. And who's the person that I'd go to? Who has the building? Who's in charge of the buildings?
District office.
My new best friend.
Yep, we'll be good.
Really? Okay. I want to make that connection. And I would love to be a liaison of some sort. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Again. Check.
It was.
Okay, moving on to, teaching and administrative. May I have a motion and a second on personnel items? One, teaching and administrative, and two, services.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, so teaching and administrative one, we do have some resignations, appointments, regular encumbered appointments, leave of absences, substitute approvals, interscholastic approvals, and then on service, we have some retirements, resignations, and appointments and a couple of transfers. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, that leads us to the end of the meeting. May I have a motion and a second to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.